Maya Chin adjusted her lab coat and checked the time on her wrist display as she walked through the gleaming corridors of the Galactic Medical Institute on Station Harmony. The massive space station orbited the neutral world of Kepler 442b, serving as a hub for medical research and diplomatic exchanges between the various species of the Galactic Council. After 6 months working as a human medical liaison, Maya had grown comfortable with the diverse array of alien species that called the station home. The Vorthans reminded her of tall, elegant deer with their graceful movements and large, dark eyes. Their fur ranged from silver to deep brown, and they spoke in soft, melodic tones that Maya found soothing. The Kalari were more reptilian, with scaled skin that shifted colors based on their emotions, while the Zentaxi resembled large, intelligent insects with compound eyes and delicate antennae that twitched constantly as they processed information. Maya had volunteered for the genetic diversity study without much thought. Dr. Vexhai, the lead Vorthan researcher, had explained it during a routine medical conference. They were collecting genetic samples from various species to better understand the biological foundations that allowed for peaceful coexistence among different evolutionary paths. Humans, being the newest species to join the Galactic Council, were of particular interest. It is simply a matter of scientific curiosity, Dr. Vexhai had explained, his large eyes blinking slowly. We wish to understand how your species developed such remarkable adaptability and social cooperation. The procedure is completely harmless. A simple saliva sample, perhaps some blood work. Nothing more invasive than your standard medical examinations. Maya had agreed immediately. As a xenobiologist herself, she understood the value of such research. Besides, anything that helped foster better understanding between species could only benefit humanity's integration into galactic society. The testing facility was located in the medical wing's research section. Maya passed through several security checkpoints, each one staffed by different species. She noticed that the Kalari guards seemed more alert than usual, their scales shifting to deeper shades of blue and green, but she attributed it to standard protocol variations. Dr. Vexhai greeted her in the main laboratory, accompanied by Dr. Zithka, a Kalari specialist in comparative genetics, and Dr. Klixven, a Zentaxi expert in evolutionary biology. The lab itself was impressive, filled with advanced equipment that hummed quietly with energy. Holographic displays showed complex genetic sequences and molecular structures floating in three-dimensional space. Dr. Chen, Dr. Vexhai said, his voice carrying its usual gentle tone. Thank you for participating in our research. We are most grateful for your contribution to interspecies understanding. Maya smiled and settled into the examination chair they indicated. Happy to help. What exactly will you be looking for in the genetic analysis? Dr. Zithka's scales shifted to a warm amber color as she approached with the sample collection equipment. We are primarily interested in the genetic markers that influence social behavior, aggression levels, and survival adaptations. Your species has shown remarkable success in cooperative ventures, which is somewhat unusual given your evolutionary background. Unusual how? Maya asked, genuinely curious. Dr. Klixven's antenna twitched rapidly, a sign Maya had learned indicated excitement or nervousness. Most species that achieve spaceflight and complex civilization evolved from prey animals or omnivores with strong social structures. The genetic markers typically show adaptations for group survival, conflict avoidance, and resource sharing. Maya nodded as Dr. Zithka gently took a blood sample and collected saliva in a specialized container. The process was indeed as simple as Dr. Vexhai had promised. That makes sense. Cooperation would be essential for developing the kind of technology needed for space travel. Precisely, Dr. Vexhai agreed. Which is why we find human development so fascinating. Your species achieved remarkable technological advancement and social cooperation despite what our preliminary observations suggest might be a more complex evolutionary heritage. Maya raised an eyebrow. Complex how? The three alien scientists exchanged glances. Dr. Zithka's scales shifted to a neutral gray. We prefer not to speculate until we have concrete data. The genetic analysis will provide us with factual information rather than assumptions based on physical characteristics or behavioral observations. Fair enough, Maya said. How long will the analysis take? The basic genetic sequencing will be complete within 72 hours, Dr. Klixven replied. We will contact you with the results and may request a follow-up interview to discuss our findings. Maya left the medical facility feeling pleased with her small contribution to scientific understanding. She spent the rest of the day working on her own research project, a comparative study of human and alien immune system responses to various pathogens. It was detailed work that required her full attention, and she quickly forgot about the genetic testing. 2 days later, Maya was in her laboratory reviewing cell culture results when her communication device chimed with an urgent priority message. The sender was Dr. Vexai, and the message was brief but concerning. Dr. Chen, please report to Medical Research Facility 7 immediately. This concerns your genetic analysis results. Time sensitive. Maya frowned at the device. Medical Research Facility 7 was in the high-security section of the station, typically reserved for dangerous pathogen research or classified military medical projects. She had never been there before and wondered why her simple genetic test results would require a meeting in such a location. The journey to Facility 7 took her through several sections of the station she rarely visited. The corridors here were wider and more heavily reinforced. Security checkpoints were more frequent and staffed by military personnel rather than civilian guards. Maya noticed that the various alien species she passed seemed more on edge than usual, their body language suggesting tension or wariness. At the final checkpoint before Facility 7, a human security officer Maya didn't recognize scanned her identification and biometric data. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with the bearing of someone from Earth's military forces. Dr. Chen, he asked, his voice carefully neutral. Yes, that's me. I'm here to meet with Dr. Vexai about some test results. The security officer's expression remained impassive, but Maya caught a flicker of something in his eyes. Concern? Sympathy? Please proceed to conference room 3. Dr. Vexai and his team are waiting for you. Maya thanked him and continued into the facility. The interior was even more impressive than the regular medical labs, with equipment she didn't recognize and containment systems that suggested they dealt with extremely dangerous materials. Her footsteps echoed in the empty corridor as she made her way to conference room 3. She found Dr. Vexai waiting for her, but he was not alone. Dr. Zithka and Dr. Klicksven were there, along with several other aliens she didn't recognize. Most surprising was the presence of Admiral Torthgon, a high-ranking Vorthan military officer she had only seen during major diplomatic ceremonies. Dr. Chen, Dr. Vexai said, rising from his seat. His usual calm demeanor seemed strained. Please, sit down. We need to discuss your test results. Maya took the indicated seat, noting that it was positioned at one end of a long table with all the aliens seated at the other end. The arrangement felt more like an interrogation than a medical consultation. I take it the results were more interesting than expected? Maya said, trying to keep her tone light. Dr. Zithka's scales had shifted to deep purple, a color Maya had learned indicated extreme stress or fear. Dr. Chen, your genetic analysis has revealed some unexpected characteristics. We wanted to discuss them with you in a secure environment. Admiral Torthgon leaned forward, his large dark eyes fixed on Maya with uncomfortable intensity. Dr. Chen, are you aware of your species' evolutionary history? Specifically, the environmental pressures that shaped human development? Maya shrugged. I know the basics. Humans evolved from earlier hominids in Africa, developed tool use, language, agriculture, and, eventually, technology. We had to deal with various predators and environmental challenges, but that's true of most species, isn't it? The aliens exchanged glances again. Dr. Klicksven's antennae were twitching so rapidly they were almost a blur. Dr. Chen, Dr. Vexai said carefully, your genetic markers indicate something that we have never encountered before in a spacefaring species. Your DNA shows clear adaptations for predatory behavior. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. Predatory behavior? What exactly does that mean? Dr. Zithka activated a holographic display that showed a complex genetic sequence. These markers, she said, pointing to highlighted sections, indicate enhanced reflexes, improved night vision, increased muscle efficiency for pursuit hunting, and, most significantly, neurological adaptations for tracking and stalking prey. Maya stared at the display, trying to process what she was seeing. But humans are omnivores. We eat plants and meat. That's not unusual, is it? The method of meat acquisition is what concerns us, Admiral Torthgon said bluntly. Dr. Chen, your species appears to have evolved as persistence hunters. Apex predators that pursued prey until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. This is unprecedented among council species. Maya felt her heart rate increase. She was beginning to understand why they had brought her to a secure facility.
What exactly are you saying?
Dr. Vexai's voice was gentle but firm.
Dr. Chen, according to your genetic analysis, humans are the galactic equivalent of the most efficient predatory species ever documented.
Your DNA suggests capabilities that would make you extremely dangerous to virtually every other species in the Council. The room fell silent. Maya looked around the table at the assembled aliens, noting their tense postures and wary expressions. She was beginning to realize that this meeting was not about scientific curiosity. It was about threat assessment.
So what happens now? Maya asked, surprised by how calm her own voice sounded. Admiral Torthgon's response was not what she expected.
Now, Dr. Chen, we need to determine whether humans represent a clear and present danger to galactic peace and security. And we need to decide what to do about it.
Maya felt her mouth go dry.
The friendly cooperation she had experienced over the past 6 months suddenly seemed very fragile indeed.
She was no longer just a human scientist contributing to interspecies understanding.
According to her own DNA, she was a predator among prey. And everyone in the room knew it. Maya stared at the holographic displays showing her genetic sequence, the implications of what she was seeing slowly sinking in. The various alien species around the conference table watched her with a mixture of scientific fascination and barely concealed fear. She could see it in their body language, the way Dr. Zithka's scales had shifted to that deep purple indicating stress, how Dr. Klicksven's antennae were trembling, and, most telling of all, how Admiral Torthgon kept his hand resting near what she now realized was a weapon.
I need to understand something, Maya said, keeping her voice steady despite the adrenaline she could feel beginning to course through her system. When you say predatory adaptations, what specifically are we talking about?
Dr. Vexai activated another display, this one showing a comparative analysis between human DNA and that of other Council species. Your genetic markers indicate several concerning adaptations. Enhanced cardiovascular efficiency for sustained pursuit, increased bone density for impact resistance, improved spatial reasoning for tracking, and, most notably, neurological structures associated with what we can only term hunting intelligence. Maya studied the comparisons. The differences were stark. Where other species showed genetic adaptations for group cooperation, resource sharing, and conflict avoidance, human DNA was marked with sequences that suggested entirely different evolutionary pressures. These neural pathway adaptations, Dr. Klicksven said, his voice barely above a whisper, they indicate a capacity for strategic thinking specifically related to pursuing and capturing prey. The pattern-matching capabilities, the predictive processing power, the ability to maintain focus over extended periods while tracking a target. Maya felt a strange sensation, as if pieces of a puzzle she hadn't known existed were suddenly falling into place. Memories surfaced unbidden, her ability to notice patterns others missed, her success in research that required following complex chains of evidence, her natural aptitude for strategic games.
Traits she had always considered simply human were apparently the genetic legacy of something far more predatory.
Dr. Chen, Admiral Torthgon said, his voice carrying the weight of military authority, we need you to understand the implications of what we have discovered. Every species in the Galactic Council evolved from prey animals or cooperative omnivores. Our civilizations developed through mutual cooperation because our survival depended on it. We learned to share resources, avoid conflicts, and work together because the alternative was extinction.
Maya nodded slowly. But humans evolved differently.
Precisely. Your species developed civilization not despite being predators, but because you were such efficient predators that you needed to develop complex social structures to avoid destroying yourselves.
Human cooperation is not based on mutual vulnerability, but on mutual deterrence.
Dr. Zithka activated yet another display, this one showing human historical data. Our anthropological analysis of your species' development patterns supports the genetic evidence. Your wars, your competitive structures, your technological advancement driven by military applications. These are not the patterns of a prey species seeking safety.
They are the patterns of apex predators competing for dominance. Maya felt a chill run down her spine as she recognized the accuracy of their analysis.
Human history was indeed marked by constant conflict and competition, with periods of cooperation primarily occurring when faced with external threats or mutual benefits that outweighed the costs of aggression.
What concerns us most, Dr. Vexai continued, is the efficiency of human predatory adaptations. Your species appears to have evolved specifically to hunt prey that could run faster, hide more effectively, and fight more fiercely than you could individually. You developed persistence, intelligence, and social coordination specifically to overcome these disadvantages. Maya looked around the room at the assembled aliens and felt a disturbing shift in her perspective. For the first time, she was seeing them not as colleagues and fellow scientists, but through what she was beginning to understand might be genetic programming millions of years in the making. The Vorthans with their graceful build and large eyes optimized for detecting threats. The Kalari with their color-changing abilities designed for camouflage and communication. The Zentaxi with their compound eyes and delicate antennae for environmental monitoring. They were all, in their own ways, beautifully adapted for survival in environments where being noticed by something like a human could mean death. Dr. Chen, Admiral Torthgon said, apparently noticing the change in her expression, "Are you beginning to understand our concerns?" Maya forced herself to focus on his face, noting absently how his large eyes seemed to track her smallest movements with the hyper-awareness of a prey animal monitoring a potential threat. "I'm beginning to understand a lot of things," she admitted. "But, I need to ask you something. If humans are as dangerous as our DNA suggests, how is it that we've managed to integrate peacefully into galactic society for the past several years?" Dr. Klicksvan's antenna stopped twitching for a moment. "That is precisely what makes this discovery so troubling. Your species has demonstrated the ability to suppress these predatory instincts completely. You have shown genuine cooperation, empathy, and peaceful intentions. But the genetic capacity for predatory behavior remains intact." Maya felt a flash of anger at the implication. "Are you suggesting that humans are just pretending to be peaceful? That we're somehow deceiving the Council?" "Not consciously," Dr. Vexhai said quickly, his tone apologetic but firm. "But consider the implications from our perspective. Every other species in the Council has genetic limitations on aggressive behavior. We literally cannot sustain the kind of predatory focus that your DNA indicates is natural for humans. If circumstances changed, if humans decided that cooperation was no longer beneficial, you would have capabilities that we simply cannot match." Maya stood up abruptly, pacing to the large viewport that dominated one wall of the conference room. Outside, she could see the sprawling structure of Station Harmony, with ships from dozens of different species docking and departing in a carefully choreographed dance of interstellar commerce and diplomacy. The sight that had once filled her with wonder at the diversity and cooperation of galactic civilization now seemed different. She was seeing it through Predator's eyes, evaluating movement patterns, identifying vulnerabilities, assessing strategic positions. The realization horrified her. "Dr. Chen?" Dr. Vexhai's voice carried genuine concern. Maya turned back to face the group, uncomfortably aware that they had all tensed when she stood up. "I can see it now," she said quietly. "I can see how a human would look at this station as a tactical problem to be solved rather than a marvel of cooperative engineering. I can see the weak points in the docking systems, the security gaps in the commercial sectors, the way the different species cluster in predictable patterns based on their comfort zones." The silence in the room was profound. Maya could hear the soft hum of the station's environmental systems and the distant vibration of docking ships. She could also hear the increased breathing rates of the aliens around the table, their fear now openly visible. "This is why you brought me to a secure facility," Maya continued. "Not just because of what my DNA says about human capabilities, but because you needed to test whether I would display those capabilities once I became aware of them." Admiral Torthgon nodded grimly. "Dr. Chen, your reaction to this information has been illuminating. The fact that you can now see the station as we see you seeing it confirms our worst fears about human potential." Maya felt a surge of frustration. "But I haven't done anything threatening. I'm the same person I was an hour ago. I've worked alongside all of you for months without any problems." "But now you know what you are," Dr. Zithka said, her scales shifting to an even deeper purple. "And we know that you know. The dynamic has fundamentally changed." Maya sank back into her chair, the weight of the situation pressing down on her. "So what happens now? Are you going to declare humans a threat species? Ban us from the Council? Quarantine Earth?" Dr. Vexhai exchanged glances with Admiral Torthgon before responding. "Dr. Chen, we have been monitoring human populations on various Council worlds for the past 72 hours, since your test results first came in.
We have observed subtle behavioral changes that suggest other humans may be unconsciously responding to some kind of stimulus that makes them more aware of their predatory capabilities. Maya felt her blood run cold. What kind of behavioral changes? Increased territorial awareness, enhanced pattern recognition in social situations, more efficient movement patterns, improved reflexes in routine activities. Nothing overtly threatening, but, collectively, the data suggests that humans throughout council space are becoming more optimized. Dr. Klicksven leaned forward, his compound eyes reflecting the holographic displays. Dr. Chen, we believe that your species may be responding to some form of genetic trigger. The presence of humans in a mixed species environment may be activating dormant predatory programming at a subconscious level. Maya stared at him in horror. You're saying that just being around other species is making humans more dangerous? We are saying that the genetic evidence suggests this possibility, Admiral Torthgon replied carefully. And if that is the case, then we have a very serious problem that extends far beyond your individual case. Maya felt her hands shaking as the implications hit her. You're talking about every human in council space. Scientists, diplomats, traders, students. If what you're suggesting is true, then we're all potentially becoming more dangerous without even realizing it. Precisely, Dr. Vexai said softly. Which is why we need your help, Dr. Chen. We need to understand how this process works, whether it can be controlled, and, most importantly, whether it can be reversed. Maya looked around the table at the assembled aliens, seeing them now with a clarity that she found deeply disturbing. They were afraid, but they were also desperate. They had discovered that they had welcomed a species of apex predators into their peaceful society, and now they needed to figure out what to do about it before it was too late. What exactly are you asking me to do? Maya asked, though she was beginning to suspect she already knew the answer. Admiral Torthgon's response confirmed her fears. Dr. Chen, we need you to submit to comprehensive testing and monitoring. We need to understand exactly how human predatory capabilities function, how they can be triggered, and how they might be controlled. And we need you to help us evaluate the threat level that humans currently represent to galactic security. Maya felt a bitter laugh escape her lips. You want me to help you figure out how dangerous my own species is? Dr. Chen, Dr. Vexai said gently, we want you to help us find a way for humans and the rest of galactic civilization to coexist safely. But, to do that, we need to understand exactly what we are dealing with. Maya stared at the genetic analysis still displayed on the holographic projectors. The evidence was undeniable. Humans were predators among prey, and now everyone knew it. The question was what they were going to do about it. Maya spent the next 3 days in what the aliens diplomatically called voluntary observation. In reality, she was confined to a comfortable suite in the high-security medical facility while teams of scientists monitored her every move through sensors and cameras that she was becoming increasingly adept at spotting. The irony was not lost on her that her growing awareness of surveillance was itself being used as evidence of her predatory capabilities. The suite included a bedroom, a small office space, and access to the Galactic Council's databases for her research. Dr. Vexai visited twice daily to check on her well-being and conduct what he termed behavioral assessments. These sessions involved various tests of her cognitive abilities, reaction times, and responses to different stimuli. Maya participated willingly, partly out of scientific curiosity and partly because she was beginning to understand that her cooperation might be crucial for humanity's future in galactic society. On the morning of the 4th day, Dr. Vexai arrived with unexpected news. Dr. Chen, we have received reports from human populations throughout Council space that we need to discuss with you. Maya looked up from the research terminal where she had been reviewing the genetic analysis data for what felt like the 100th time. She had been trying to find some flaw in their conclusions, some alternative explanation for the predatory markers in human DNA, but the evidence was overwhelming. What kind of reports? She asked, though she suspected the answer would not be encouraging. Dr. Vexai activated a holographic display showing a star map of Council space with human populations highlighted in various colors. We have documented significant behavioral changes in human communities on 17 different worlds. The changes are subtle but consistent across all populations. Maya studied the display. The highlighted worlds included major diplomatic centers, research stations, and commercial hubs where humans had established permanent or semi-permanent communities. What kind of behavioral changes are we talking about? enhanced situational awareness, improved coordination in group activities, increased efficiency in resource acquisition and distribution, and, most notably, spontaneous development of what can only be described as pack hunting behaviors in professional contexts.
Maya felt a chill run through her. Pack hunting behaviors?
Dr. Vexhai expanded the display to show detailed analysis from several locations.
Human research teams have begun demonstrating unprecedented levels of cooperative efficiency.
Human business negotiators are achieving success rates that other species consider statistically impossible. Human security personnel are identifying threats and patterns that our most advanced AI systems miss. Maya stared at the data, recognizing patterns that were both fascinating and terrifying.
They're not doing it consciously, are they? We believe not.
The changes appear to be emerging naturally as humans interact with mixed species environments over extended periods.
It is as if proximity to potential prey species is triggering dormant genetic programming that optimizes humans for hunting in pack formations.
Maya stood up and began pacing the small office, aware that the monitoring systems would be recording and analyzing her movement patterns. She had stopped caring about the surveillance. There seemed little point in pretending that she was not exactly what her DNA said she was.
Dr. Vexhai, can I ask you something honestly?
Of course, Dr. Chen.
How long do we have before the council decides that humans are too dangerous to tolerate?
Dr. Vexhai's large eyes blinked slowly, a gesture Maya had learned indicated serious consideration. That decision may have already been made, Dr. Chen.
Admiral Torthgon has called for a council emergency session tomorrow. The agenda includes a formal threat assessment of human integration into galactic society. Maya stopped pacing. And what are the likely outcomes of such an assessment? There are 3 possibilities being discussed. Complete quarantine of human space, mandatory genetic modification to suppress predatory capabilities, or...
Dr. Vexhai paused, his usual gentle demeanor becoming strained.
Or what? Or preemptive action to eliminate the human threat permanently.
Maya felt her breath catch in her throat. The casual way he had mentioned genocide made it clear that at least some council members viewed humans not as people, but as a problem to be solved.
How many council species are supporting the third option?
Currently, 12 of the 27 member species have indicated they would support extreme measures if humans cannot be contained or modified.
The remainder are split between quarantine and genetic modification.
Maya sank back into her chair, the full scope of the situation finally hitting her.
None of them are supporting continued integration, are they? Dr. Chen, you must understand.
From the perspective of prey species, the discovery that humans are apex predators changes everything. The cooperative relationships that seemed natural and beneficial are now viewed as potential deception or manipulation. Every human success in galactic society is being reinterpreted as evidence of predatory superiority rather than genuine contribution.
Maya looked at the star map still floating in the holographic display.
Millions of humans throughout council space, living their lives, pursuing careers, building relationships, completely unaware that their very existence had become an existential threat to the galaxy's entire political structure.
Dr. Vexhai, what if I told you that I think the council is making a fundamental mistake in their analysis?
His antenna twitched with interest.
What do you mean?
Maya stood up again, but this time her movement was deliberate and controlled. She had been thinking about this for days, and a theory was beginning to form. You've been analyzing human predatory capabilities as if they were purely aggressive adaptations.
But what if they're not? I do not understand. Maya activated her own holographic display using the suite's interface. Look at the behavioral changes you've documented in human populations.
Enhanced situational awareness, improved cooperation, increased efficiency, better threat detection.
Those aren't the behaviors of predators preparing to attack their prey. Dr. Vexhai studied the display. Then, what are they?
They're the behaviors of predators who have identified something they need to protect.
Maya expanded the display to show the human populations in relation to recent galactic events.
Dr. Vexhai, human behavior began changing approximately 6 months ago, right around the time we received initial reports about increased pirate activity in the outer systems and rumors of unknown hostile ships probing council borders.
Dr. Vexhai's eyes widened as he processed the implications. You are suggesting that humans are responding to external threats?
I'm suggesting that human predatory instincts may not be focused on other council species at all. They may be responding to threats against the galactic community that Council species, with their prey-animal instincts, are not equipped to detect or address effectively.
Maya called up additional data from her access to Council databases. Look at this pattern. Every human population showing increased predatory behaviors is located in border regions or strategic positions where they would be among the first to encounter external threats. They're not forming hunting packs to threaten other Council species. They're forming defensive packs to protect the territories they've come to view as their own. Dr. Vexhai studied the data intently. Dr. Chen, if your hypothesis is correct, it would completely change the threat assessment.
That's exactly what I'm hoping. Dr. Vexhai, humans didn't develop predatory capabilities to hunt other sapient species. We developed them to protect our communities from external threats. And, if I'm right, human integration into galactic society hasn't made us more dangerous to our neighbors. It's made us more protective of our neighbors. Maya could see the wheels turning in Dr. Vexhai's mind as he processed this new perspective. But, how can we prove this hypothesis? Maya smiled for the first time in days. By putting it to the test. Dr. Vexhai, what if we could demonstrate that human predatory instincts are actually defensive in nature when it comes to Council species? What do you propose? Maya called up intelligence reports about the mysterious hostile contacts that had been plaguing the outer systems. These unknown ships that have been probing Council space. They've been careful to avoid direct confrontation, but their technology appears to be significantly advanced compared to standard Council capabilities. Dr. Vexhai nodded. The Council defense forces have been unable to establish meaningful contact or develop effective countermeasures. Because prey species military doctrine is focused on defense and deterrence. But, what if we approached the problem from a predator's perspective? What if instead of waiting for them to reveal themselves, we hunted them down? Maya could see the fear returning to Dr. Vexhai's expression, but it was mixed with something else now. Hope. Dr. Chen, are you suggesting that humans could address threats that Council species cannot handle effectively? I'm suggesting that human predatory capabilities might be exactly what galactic civilization needs to protect itself from external threats. We're apex predators, Dr. Vexhai. But that doesn't make us a threat to the pack. It makes us the pack's ultimate protection. Maya pulled up tactical analyses of the mysterious ship encounters. Look at these engagement patterns. They're probing for weaknesses, testing response times, gathering intelligence about Council defenses. This isn't random piracy or exploration. This is reconnaissance for something much larger. Dr. Vexhai's alarm was now evident in his posture. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that something is coming that's going to require predators to handle. And, the Council has a choice. They can eliminate the only species capable of protecting them, or they can figure out how to work with us. Maya looked directly at Dr. Vexhai, and, for the first time since her confinement began, she allowed her predatory instincts to show in her expression. Not as a threat, but as a promise. Dr. Vexhai, tomorrow's Council session isn't just about deciding what to do with humans. It's about deciding whether galactic civilization wants protectors or whether it wants to face whatever is coming alone. The Vorthan scientist stared at her for a long moment, and Maya could see the exact moment when his perspective shifted from viewing her as a threat to viewing her as exactly what she claimed to be. A protector who had just realized what she was protecting against. Dr. Chen, he said quietly, I believe we need to present your hypothesis to the Council immediately. Maya nodded. I believe we do. But, Dr. Vexhai, if I'm right about this, the Council needs to understand something else. What? If there really is an external threat coming, and if human populations throughout Council space are unconsciously preparing to defend against it, then stopping them from doing so might be the worst mistake the Council could possibly make. Dr. Vexhai's silence spoke volumes. Maya had given him a new way to interpret the data, but she had also given him a new nightmare to contemplate. The possibility that humans weren't the threat the Council needed to worry about. They were the solution to a threat the Council hadn't even recognized yet. The Council emergency session convened in the Grand Assembly Chamber aboard Station Harmony, a massive spherical space designed to accommodate representatives from all 27 member species. Maya found herself in the unusual position of being both the primary subject of discussion and a key witness, seated in the central testimony platform while hundreds of alien delegates surrounded her in carefully arranged species-specific sections.
Admiral Torthgon presented the genetic analysis data with clinical precision, his holographic display showing the damning evidence of human predatory capabilities in stark detail. The reaction from the assembled delegates was immediate and polarized. Several species representatives began activating emergency communication protocols, while others demanded immediate protective measures. Maya watched the proceedings with growing unease, noting how the different species' body language reflected their terror. The Kalari delegation had shifted to deep red scales indicating high alarm. The Zentaxi were clustered together, their antennae creating a constant low buzzing that Maya realized was their equivalent of nervous chattering. Even the usually composed Vorthon showed signs of distress in their rapid breathing patterns and dilated pupils. When Admiral Torthgon finished his presentation, the chamber erupted in overlapping voices as delegates demanded answers, protection, and, in several cases, immediate action against human populations. Maya could make out fragments of the conversations through the translation systems, calls for quarantine, genetic modification, and, worse. Council Speaker Vorthmal, an elderly Vorthon with silver fur and the bearing of someone who had managed interspecies diplomacy for decades, called for order. Delegates, we are here to assess the situation and determine appropriate responses. Dr. Chen has requested permission to present alternative analysis of the data. Given the gravity of the situation, I believe we should hear her perspective. Several delegates objected immediately. Councillor Zethke of the Kalari delegation rose from his seat, scales flashing bright orange with indignation. Speaker Vorthmal, with respect, allowing the subject of the threat assessment to speak on her own behalf seems inadvisable. We are dealing with a species whose genetic programming may include deception and manipulation as survival strategies. Maya felt a flash of anger but forced herself to remain calm. She had expected this reaction, but hearing herself described as inherently deceptive was still jarring. Councillor Zethke, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics, if human genetic programming included deception as a primary survival strategy, would I not be better at hiding what I actually am? The comment provoked nervous laughter from some sections and increased agitation from others. Maya pressed her advantage. Honorable delegates, I understand your concerns. The genetic evidence is clear and undeniable. Humans are, in fact, apex predators by evolutionary design. But I believe there are critical aspects of this situation that have not been fully considered. Speaker Vorthmal gestured for her to continue. Maya activated the holographic displays from her position, showing the data she had analyzed with Dr. Vexhai. Distinguished council members, I want to direct your attention to the timeline of human behavioral changes. The enhanced predatory responses began approximately 6 months ago, coinciding with increased reports of unknown hostile contacts in border regions. Maya expanded the display to show the correlation between human population locations and mysterious ship sightings. Every human community showing increased defensive behaviors is positioned in areas where they would be among the first to encounter external threats. This is not random activation of predatory instincts. This is a coordinated response to a perceived threat to the territories humans have come to consider their home. Councillor Jekstar of the Zentaxi delegation buzzed loudly before speaking. Dr. Chen, you are suggesting that humans are responding to threats that our own intelligence networks have not identified as significant? Maya nodded. Councillor Jekstar, I'm suggesting that predator species and prey species have fundamentally different threat detection capabilities. What appears to be minor pirate activity or random exploration to prey-adapted intelligence systems may appear as coordinated reconnaissance to predator-adapted intelligence systems. She called up detailed analysis of the hostile ship encounters. Look at these engagement patterns. The unknown vessels consistently probe defensive positions, test response times, and gather data about Council military capabilities. They avoid direct confrontation but maintain persistent surveillance of strategic locations. This is not random criminal activity. This is systematic intelligence gathering. Admiral Torthgon leaned forward in his seat. Dr. Chen, are you suggesting that the Council Defense Forces have failed to properly assess these threats? I'm suggesting that prey species naturally focus on defensive strategies and conflict avoidance, which are excellent for maintaining peace but may not be optimal for detecting coordinated hunting behavior. Admiral, if an apex predator was studying your territory for potential conquest, would it announce its intentions openly or would it observe quietly until it was ready to strike? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Maya could see delegates exchanging worried glances and activating private communication channels.
Dr. Vexhai, who had been granted permission to attend as a scientific advisor, rose from his position. Honorable Council members, our continued monitoring of human populations supports Dr. Chen's hypothesis. Human behavioral changes are not random or aggressive. They are specifically oriented toward territorial defense and threat assessment. Moreover, human populations are not showing increased aggression toward other Council species. If anything, protective behaviors toward other species have intensified. Councillor Vorthday of the 2nd Vorthan delegation stood up. Dr. Vexhai, are you suggesting that humans view other Council species as part of their territory to be protected? Maya answered before Dr. Vexhai could respond. Councillor, humans form pack bonds with groups they consider part of their community. After 6 months of integration into galactic society, many humans have formed those bonds with mixed species communities. We're not viewing other Council species as prey or threats. We're viewing them as pack members to be protected. The concept seemed to create confusion among several delegates. Maya realized that the idea of cross-species pack bonding was probably as foreign to them as their prey-species social structures had initially been to her. Speaker Vorthmal called for a brief recess to allow delegates to consult with their home governments. During the break, Maya found herself approached by several individual delegates who seemed intrigued by her analysis despite their species' official positions. Councillor Ilix Array of the Altarian delegation, a species Maya was less familiar with, approached her platform. The Altarians resembled large, intelligent otters with sophisticated technology and were known for their analytical capabilities. Dr. Chen, Councillor Ilix Array said, her voice carrying musical undertones, your predatory assessment of these unknown contacts. If you are correct about their intentions, what do you believe they are planning? Maya considered her answer carefully. Councillor, if I were an apex predator species studying Council space for potential conquest, I would be looking for several things. Resource distribution, military capabilities, political vulnerabilities, and, most importantly, the presence of other predator species that might complicate invasion plans. The Altarians' fur rippled in patterns Maya couldn't interpret. And, what would you conclude from such reconnaissance? That the Council has abundant resources, limited military experience with true predatory species, political structures designed for cooperation rather than rapid crisis response, and, until recently, no significant predator species to complicate invasion plans. Councillor Ilix Array's fur pattern shifted to what Maya suspected indicated alarm. Dr. Chen, you are suggesting that the presence of humans in Council space might actually be discouraging hostile action? Maya nodded. Councillor, if you were planning to invade a territory populated by prey species, the sudden appearance of apex predators in that territory would definitely complicate your plans. Especially if those predators were clearly establishing territorial bonds with the existing population. When the session reconvened, Speaker Vorthmal announced that several delegations had received updated intelligence reports that seemed to support Maya's analysis. The unknown ships had increased their activity significantly in the past 72 hours, with multiple sightings in systems previously considered secure. Admiral Torthgon took the floor again, his demeanor noticeably more tense than during his earlier presentation. Distinguished delegates, I have received confirmation from our deep space monitoring stations that the unknown vessels are operating in coordinated groups and appear to be conducting systematic surveys of our defensive installations. The chamber erupted in alarm. Maya could see delegates activating emergency communication systems and calling for immediate security briefings. Furthermore, Admiral Torthgon continued, our analysis indicates that these vessels possess technology significantly advanced beyond our current capabilities. If Dr. Chen's assessment is correct, and these represent advanced scouts for a potential invasion force, then the Council Defense Forces may not be adequate to address this threat. Councillor Zethke's scales had shifted to a pattern Maya had never seen before, dark purple shot through with silver streaks. Admiral, are you suggesting that we may need human military assistance? I am suggesting that if humans have evolved specifically to hunt other apex predators, then they may possess capabilities that could be crucial for defending Council space against a predatory species threat. Maya felt the mood in the chamber shift dramatically. Where before she had been viewed as a potential threat, she was now being assessed as a possible solution to a much larger problem. Speaker Vorthmal looked directly at her. Dr. Chen, if the Council were to request human assistance in addressing these external threats, what would such cooperation look like? Maya took a deep breath, knowing that her answer could determine the future relationship between humanity and galactic civilization.
Speaker Vorthmal, humans would need to be allowed to function according to our evolutionary programming.
That means taking active rather than defensive approaches to threat assessment, coordinating our efforts across multiple populations, and being permitted to use our natural capabilities without restriction or modification.
And, in return?
Maya looked around the chamber at the assembled delegates, seeing them now not as potential prey but as the community she had unconsciously committed to protecting.
In return, Council species would have apex predators dedicated to ensuring that no external threat ever successfully targets galactic civilization. Humans don't just form pack bonds, Speaker.
We form territorial bonds.
And, once humans consider something to be our territory, we will fight to the death to protect it.
The silence that followed was profound. Maya could see delegates processing the implications of her offer, weighing the risks of accepting human protection against the risks of facing unknown threats alone.
Speaker Vorthmal's next words would determine whether humanity became galactic civilization's greatest threat or its ultimate protector.
Dr. Chen, he said finally, the Council will need to vote on this proposal. But, I believe it is time we learned whether humans are truly as formidable as your genetic analysis suggests.
Maya smiled, feeling her predatory instincts fully engage for the first time since her testing began.
Speaker, I think you're about to find out. 3 weeks after the Council vote authorizing human defensive coordination, Maya stood in the command center of the hastily established interspecies defense coordination facility aboard Station Harmony. The chamber had been redesigned to accommodate both human operational requirements and the comfort needs of Council species representatives. The result was a unique space where predator and prey species worked together in ways that would have seemed impossible just months earlier. The transformation had been remarkable. Once the Council delegates realized that human predatory instincts were oriented toward territorial defense rather than aggressive expansion, cooperation had developed with surprising speed. Maya suspected that prey species were naturally programmed to accept protection from apex predators when external threats were present, just as humans were programmed to provide that protection once they had identified their territory and pack. Dr. Vexhai approached her station, carrying the latest intelligence reports. His demeanor had changed dramatically since their first meeting, where once he had regarded her with fear and suspicion, he now displayed the confident posture of someone who knew he was under the protection of a capable predator. Dr. Chen, we have confirmed activity in the Kepler 442 system. 3 unknown vessels, larger than anything we have previously detected, have taken position at the edge of the asteroid belt. Maya studied the tactical display, her mind automatically processing movement patterns, strategic positions, and potential threat vectors. The unknown ships were positioned perfectly for either observation or assault on the system's inhabited worlds, but their exact intentions remained unclear.
Have they responded to any communication attempts? Negative. Admiral Torthgon reports that all standard Council diplomatic protocols have been ignored.
The vessels maintain position but show no signs of aggressive intent.
Maya frowned at the display.
After 3 weeks of coordinating with human populations throughout Council space, they had developed a much clearer picture of the external threat. The unknown species appeared to be conducting systematic reconnaissance of Council space, probing defenses and gathering intelligence, but they had avoided direct confrontation despite clearly superior technology. Dr. Vexhai, patch me through to the Human Coordination Network. I want to see what our people are reading from this situation. The holographic display expanded to show feeds from human populations on 17 different worlds. Maya watched as human analysts, researchers, security personnel, and civilians reviewed the same data she was seeing. Their responses were remarkably consistent.
Lieutenant Commander Sarah Torres from the Procyon Station human community spoke first.
Command, this positioning suggests they're waiting for something. Not preparing for immediate assault, but maintaining overwatch capability.
Dr.
James Wright from the research team on Kepler 186F added his assessment. The technology signatures we're detecting indicate capabilities far beyond what they would need for reconnaissance. These ships are equipped for major offensive operations, but they're holding back.
Maya felt a chill run down her spine as she processed their observations. They're waiting for something specific.
But what?
The answer came from an unexpected source. Counselor Ilex Array appeared on the communication system from the Altarian delegation's quarters. Dr. Chen, we have been analyzing the temporal patterns of unknown vessel activities.
The increase in their boldness correlates directly with the timeline of human defensive coordination efforts.
Maya stared at the Altarian counselor. You think they're waiting to see how effective human coordination becomes?
Dr. Chen, if these unknown entities are indeed apex predators planning territorial expansion, they would naturally want to assess the threat level of competing predator species before committing to major operations. Your species' integration into Council defensive systems may be exactly what they have been waiting to observe.
Maya felt pieces of the puzzle clicking into place. They're not just conducting reconnaissance. They're conducting a field test. They want to see how humans function as protectors in a mixed species environment before they decide whether to proceed with invasion or look for easier targets.
Dr. Vexhai's large eyes widened with understanding. Dr. Chen, if that assessment is correct, then our current situation is essentially an examination. The unknown species are evaluating whether humans represent a significant obstacle to their plans.
Maya nodded grimly.
Which means that everything we do from this point forward will determine whether they consider Council space worth the effort to conquer or whether they decide to find prey that doesn't have predators protecting it. The implication was both encouraging and terrifying. Effective human protection might discourage invasion, but it might also provoke the unknown species into more aggressive action if they decided that human capabilities represented an unacceptable threat to their own expansion plans.
Admiral Torthgon's voice joined the communication network from the Council Defense Forces Command Center. Dr. Chen, we are receiving reports of unknown vessel movements in 6 additional systems.
It appears they are positioning for coordinated observation of human-protected territories.
Maya felt her predatory instincts engage fully as she processed the tactical situation.
Multiple unknown vessels, superior technology, coordinated positioning, and apparent focus on testing human defensive capabilities. This was no longer reconnaissance. This was preparation for something much larger.
Admiral, how long before we can have human coordination teams in position in all threatened systems? Estimated deployment time is 14 hours for full coverage.
Maya studied the tactical displays, calculating response times, strategic positioning, and coordination requirements.
14 hours was too long if the unknown species decided to escalate from observation to active testing. Admiral, I recommend we accelerate the timeline.
If these entities are conducting evaluation of human capabilities, we need to demonstrate those capabilities in a way that makes invasion seem like a very poor choice.
Dr. Vexhai looked concerned. Dr. Chen, are you suggesting deliberate provocation? I'm suggesting controlled demonstration.
Dr. Vexhai, prey species avoid confrontation because confrontation risks death. But predator species sometimes seek controlled confrontation because it allows them to establish dominance without full-scale warfare.
Maya activated the coordination network to reach human populations throughout Council space.
All human defensive coordination teams, this is command.
We are implementing Protocol 7 immediately.
All teams are authorized to move to active reconnaissance and threat assessment.
The response was immediate.
Human populations that had been maintaining defensive postures began shifting to more active coordination patterns.
Maya watched the tactical displays update as human teams across dozens of worlds began implementing search and assessment protocols that turned passive observation into active information gathering.
Lieutenant Commander Torres reported from Procyon Station.
Command, we are detecting immediate changes in unknown vessel behavior.
They appear to be responding to our increased activity levels.
Dr. Wright's team confirms similar observations.
Command, the unknown ships are maintaining their positions but showing increased energy signatures. They are definitely aware of our coordination changes.
Maya felt a predatory smile cross her face. Perfect. They wanted to see how humans function as territorial predators. Let's show them.
Over the next 6 hours, human teams throughout Council space demonstrated capabilities that they had never been required to use in peacetime.
Coordination networks allowed instantaneous information sharing across interstellar distances.
Pattern recognition systems identified tactical weaknesses and strategic opportunities that had been invisible to prey species analysis. Most importantly, human teams began working together with an efficiency and focus that transformed them from individual communities into a unified territorial defense network. The unknown vessels responded by increasing their own coordination. Long-range scans detected additional ships moving into Council space, but they maintained their observational postures rather than advancing to assault positions. Counselor Ilix Array joined Maya in the command center as the situation developed.
Dr. Chen, our analysis suggests that the unknown species are impressed by human coordination capabilities.
Their ships are maintaining increased readiness levels, but they are also maintaining safe distances from human-protected territories.
Maya nodded, watching the tactical displays update with real-time information from across Council space. They're getting the message. The question is whether they'll decide that Council space is too well defended to be worth the effort, or whether they'll decide that human capabilities represent a threat that needs to be eliminated. Her answer came sooner than expected. Admiral Torthgon's voice carried urgency as he joined the communication network. All stations, we are detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of Council space. Long-range sensors indicate the presence of a large fleet of unknown vessels. Estimated count exceeds 100 ships. Maya felt her blood run cold. The unknown species had made their decision. Either they were committing to invasion despite human presence, or they were preparing to eliminate the human threat before proceeding with their original plans. Admiral, what's the estimated arrival time for the unknown fleet? 36 hours to the outer defense perimeter. Maya looked around the command center at the assembled representatives of Council species. Prey animals facing the approach of apex predators, but prey animals who had apex predators of their own to protect them. Dr. Vexhai, please inform the Council that humanity is formally requesting authorization to implement full territorial defense protocols. Dr. Vexhai's response was immediate. Dr. Chen, the Council has already voted. Authorization is granted. The question is whether human capabilities are sufficient to address a threat of this magnitude. Maya activated the full human coordination network, connecting every human community in Council space into a single operational unit. Across dozens of worlds, millions of humans suddenly had access to shared tactical information, coordinated strategic planning, and unified command protocols. For the first time since the crisis began, Maya allowed herself to demonstrate the full extent of human predatory capabilities. Her voice carried across the network with absolute authority. All human communities, this is command. We are implementing full territorial defense. The territory we are defending includes all Council species, all Council worlds, and all Council space. This is our territory. These are our people. And we do not allow uninvited apex predators in our territory. The response was overwhelming. Human communities throughout Council space began implementing coordination protocols that transformed them from individual groups into hunting packs working in perfect synchronization. Intelligence flowed seamlessly between populations. Strategic planning occurred at speeds that amazed even Maya. Most importantly, every human in Council space understood exactly what they were protecting and exactly what they were prepared to do to protect it. The unknown fleet would arrive in 36 hours expecting to find prey species protected by scattered groups of territorial predators. Instead, they were going to encounter something the galaxy had never seen before, an entire apex predator species working together to protect territory they had claimed as their own. Maya looked at Dr. Vexhai, seeing in his expression the mixture of gratitude and awe that she was becoming accustomed to seeing from Council species. Dr. Vexhai, please inform the Council that their apex predators are ready. As the tactical displays updated with the approaching threat, Maya felt a deep satisfaction settle over her. The casual DNA test had revealed what humans truly were. But the approaching battle would demonstrate what humans could become when they had something worth protecting. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when prey species had apex predators who considered them family. And Maya was looking forward to teaching that lesson.